officially selling my 41mm Datejust with a green dial. It took me almost a year to save up for this watch and to find it for a decent price. But very soon I'm going to be selling this watch and every other watch in my collection apart from this one here. But I'm not selling this Rolex and my other watches because I don't like them anymore. In fact, it's the exact opposite. I'm actually selling them to invest in something bigger, watch related. Passion project, should we say. Now, to understand the full story, I need to take you back to October 2023. And this was when I first started thinking about this watch design that I had in my head for God knows how long. And I finally put pencil to paper to actually draw it. Now, fast forward to today, the first 100 pieces of that watch, which I started sketching in October 2023, have already sold out. In fact, they sold out before the prototype was even finished. Now, anybody who has actually designed a watch and had one manufactured knows that it is not cheap to do. Now, luckily, I had a couple of investments which I could sell to pay for the prototypes for the Evermont collection. But a watch company cannot survive and just depend on one single collection, unless you're Audemars Piguet and the Royal Oak. Couldn't resist. Had to get it in there. And the truth is, there are just more watches that I want to create and bring out into the world. And that costs money. And the question is, where is that money going to come from? I just found myself looking at this watch one night and thinking, I paid around $11,500 for this watch, give or take, right? So this is roughly around the price of 2 brand new watches being developed for Evermont & Scott. And it just doesn't seem worth it anymore. And I think this is one of the things that a lot of people don't understand about starting or growing or developing a watch company. Prototypes are not cheap. Testing is not cheap. And you never get it right on the first turn. So you always have to keep investing money into the brand and into product development all the time, again and again and again. So that's around £5,000 to £6,000 at least. And the worst thing is you don't even know if the watch is going to sell yet. But I suppose that's kind of the thrill of it. Now, my only other option was to potentially get a business loan and just keep my watches, but I can buy this watch again. And also as well, it's probably fair to say that when I bought this watch, I bought it not being as patient as I potentially could have been. I wanted it on the Jubilee bracelet, but I couldn't find it on the Jubilee, so I kind of settled for the Oyster, which means that if I did sell it, and I did buy it again, I could buy it with a little bit more finesse and get that Jubilee bracelet. But man, it's not an easy thing to sell something that you've worn and enjoyed for so long, but the reality is I have this money just sitting there, and I need to sell something to get the money to invest into Evermont & Scott, because there are at least 2 or 3 other watches that I want to develop and bring out into the world and to share with customers. Now, the one watch that I will never sell is this Tissot PRX, because this was the watch that I just grabbed at 2 AM in the morning when my wife went into labour and we were rushed to hospital to have my first son. And I was wearing this watch literally as I was holding him for the very first time. And also the watch isn't really worth that much, so it's not really going to matter anyway. So I'm actually happy about selling my Datejust and my other watches. Not really, to be completely brutally honest. I don't want to let them go, but it's necessary right now for me to get the funds to inject into Evermont & Scott so I can try and take these ideas for new watches in my head and to bring them out into the world to share them with others. Because ultimately, when I'm 80 years old, rocking in my rocking chair, you know, which story is going to be cooler to tell the grandkids? That's kind of how I'm thinking about it. It feels really good to wear a Rolex. And when I first got this watch, I literally did not take it off for like a week, I think. But it's just so exhilarating to have an idea in your head and to put it down on paper and then work with people who are just as passionate about horology and timekeeping to bring that idea into reality. And the truth is, I pretty much wear these watches about the same amount, but this is a watch which I designed from scratch, and it's got a lot more meaning to me than, you know, a fancy watch from Rolex. Will I ever buy another Rolex again? 100%. In fact, I'll probably buy this exact same watch again, just with the Jubilee bracelet. But for now, I need to focus my energy on my own brand. I want to be a creator, not just a collector. And the harsh reality is that I do not have the luxury of doing both at the same time, at least right now. And so, if you want to join me on the journey, the ups, the downs, the roadblocks, the successes, the launches, everything, then consider subscribing, because you're going to see everything. But actually, what do you think? Do you think it's a wise decision to take my watches from trusted brands and selling them to fund a passion project which may or may not work? Let me know in the comments. I'll be interested. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, then make sure you leave a like just to let me know I'm on the right track with this type of content, and I will see you again soon. Take care.